right. So, topic of the day is food guilt. So, I want to talk about what it is, how it shows up and impacts your relationship with food, and what to do about it, where it comes from, and what to do about it. So, let's get to it. So, what is food guilt? So, when I talk about food guilt or food noise, what is that? Food guilt is when you feel bad for eating certain things, aka with people, usually the most popular thing is junk food, right? So let's say that you want to be good with your diet and you say, okay, I'm going to do what? Keto, calorie counting, whatever that is. Um, and you say, okay, this time I'm going to be good. This time I'm going to stick to it very perfectly and it's going to be great, right? All my problems will be solved. Um, but then you start to crack. You start to lose momentum, right? You start to lose like fuel and you start to break the diet. Okay. Let's say that you go over your calories. Let's say that you eat more carbs than I guess keto allows, right? Then you start to feel bad, that guilt for eating that. But then it also translates to how you view yourself. Okay. So this is where the psychology behind eating comes in. It's not just about the food, people. So you say, oh man, I went over my calories. That sucks. Then maybe you start to feel bad. Maybe you go over it again. You're like, oh my gosh, I did it again. And then you start to draw these beliefs about yourself, probably from your past as well, that make it even worse. So you not only feel guilty for breaking your diet or breaking a food rule, overeating, whatever that is, um, but then you start to tell yourself different things about yourself that make it way harder and make the guilt way worse. For example, I'm such a failure. I can't believe I did this again. I always mess up. I can never do this, right? I'm such a disappointment. Oh, just saying those, it's hard, right? So it's not just food, right? It's not related just to food. It's more the emotions, beliefs, and thoughts that you have about the food and your behavior around food. So if we think about guilt, emotions communicate things about ourselves to us. I don't know if that sounded weird, but guilt usually communicates to us that we feel like we did something wrong, that we feel like we did something bad, right? What I usually say is like you didn't hurt anyone, you didn't punch anyone, you just ate cake, right? But you feel guilty for it. You feel like you did something bad. And because of what I just mentioned is why this guilt comes in, right? A lot of my clients are like, I know I have to be neutral with food. I know that, but I can't. And that's why, because you have so much meaning about yourself attached to how you behave around food. And a lot of times it comes up as food guilt. And a lot of times, to prevent us feeling food guilt, we start to continuously analyze the way that we eat. Not the root of the issue, which is the psychology behind why you eat, why you're eating, the function that food has for you, but you start to say, you know what? I'm not going to eat the rice from my lunch today because I had too many carbs for breakfast. Or, oh my gosh, I'm hungry, but I just ate, right? I shouldn't be having more food if I just eat. I can't have a snack. I'm just going to wait for later, for dinner, whatever, right? So you start to add these conditions, these rules, additional rules, and they start to become this food noise. I shouldn't be having this. Should I eat this? Am I hungry? I'm not that hungry, but I want to eat. Why do I want to eat? Am I eating too much? Are they judging what they're? Is everyone judging me what because of what I'm eating? Oh my God, I had cake yesterday. I probably should walk more, right? All of these things that you do to make up and make you prevent feeling this guilt or feeling bad, feeling discipline, are that constant and what like distressing food noise that can happen when you have a difficult relationship with food. Okay? So this is how food guilt shows up in your life. Okay? It makes you feel bad because you break certain food rules that you have in your life, but it also brings up a lot of ways or beliefs that you have about yourself And it makes your relationship with food even harder. Okay? Now, what I always say, you didn't hurt anyone, you didn't call anyone any names, right? You didn't push anyone down. You just ate. But the psychology behind why the food guilt comes up is why you are unable to be neutral around food. Okay? Now, these beliefs that come up, like I'm a failure, I can't believe I did this, everything that actually causes the food guilt comes from deeper beliefs. Like when you were younger, growing up, maybe different situations that happened to you. Maybe your family's very focused on diet culture. Maybe somebody told you something when you were younger and it just really stuck. There's so many things that can impact the way that you view food and the way that you view how you behave around food. I hope that makes sense. That actually create these deep beliefs that you have that actually lead to the food guilt, right? So if you find those deeper beliefs for yourself, it'll be easier for you to actually do something about this food guilt. It'll be easier for you to not feel guilty for just eating, right? So what I want you to think about is instead of going into the food guilt and sinking in it and being like, oh my God, I did it again, I want you to pause and take a step back, right? I want you to remove it, see it as like a different person. You're like, okay, the food guilt is there. She can stand there, be annoying, run her mouth, yap. But let me get curious. What is happening? Why do I feel bad? Why do I feel like I did something wrong? Why do I feel guilt? And the more that you ask yourself, why? What does this mean to me? What am I telling myself about myself? Right? The more that you start to question and get deeper into those beliefs, the more information you're going to be able to get. Because a lot of times I say, okay, affirmations, thought challenges, really changing that mindset is amazing, beautiful. But if you don't do this deeper work, no amount of affirmations is gonna help because they're not really talking to what's causing the guilt, right? So if let's say that my food guilt comes from me feeling like a failure because I've never been able to, I don't know, succeed in I don't know, a diet in my life, right? But then I say, okay, I have to come up with an affirmation so that I don't feel guilty after I eat. And my affirmation is eating isn't bad. Well, that's not going to help that much because it doesn't touch on what comes up for me specifically, right? So if I have cake and I say, I don't know, all bodies are good bodies, that's not really going to do anything because that's not why I feel guilty. It might be why somebody else does, right? But you want to really check in with yourself to see what those beliefs are, what those thoughts are, and what those thoughts about yourself are that come up so that you can actually come up with some good thought challenges, mindset changes, and affirmations that can actually work in the moment for you to stop the food guilt and be able to move on with your life with whatever, right? Doesn't matter what you eat. The whole point and intention with this is for food guilt to not get in your way in your life and for you to improve your relationship with food. Okay? So, all, in summary, I want you to check in with what comes up specifically for you that makes you feel guilty for eating. It could be like, oh, it's because I have this food rule, or when I was little, I was told this, or I don't know, I feel like a disappointment, whatever that is, so that you can then get to that deeper part and create these mindset changes that can help you, that can challenge that specific thought and belief that comes up for you, so that the next time that you break a food rule, which happens, we're human, right? We can talk about food rules another time, but next time that you maybe break a food rule or that you feel full and you feel bad about it, right? you don't go into that food guilt, because odds are that food guilt is triggering way more things that are making your relationship with food even harder, right? So if you feel bad about eating, you feel like you need to fix it, you feel like you need to go on another diet. If you feel bad about eating, you feel like you need to fix it, and you feel like you need to add another food rule to your list of food rules, which probably creates more food guilt. So the less food guilt that you have, the more curious you can be around your relationship with food, and the more curious you can be and learn about why you feel out of control around food. Okay? Which is why I love to focus on the psychology behind why you eat. Okay? So go ahead, take a step back, think about why your food guilt comes up for you. Think about a challenge, 2 or 3 challenges or affirmations that actually challenge the deeper belief that you have around this food guilt, so that little by little it can start to reduce and reduce. And little by little, your disordered behaviors around food will also reduce. And odds are that emotional eating, binge eating, and chronic overeating will reduce as well. And that's why I love to focus on the psychology behind why you eat. It's not just about the food, it's about why you turn to food. That's why I created my step-by-step Find Food Peace group program, for you to know exactly how to gain more control around food and finally stop binge eating, emotional eating, and chronic overeating. If you relate to this and you're like, I want to join, I'll link it below. It's a group program where I show you how to feel in control around food and give you all the knowledge on the psychology behind why you eat. I truly hope this was helpful for you. If you have any other questions, if you're like, I didn't get this, I didn't get that, that's wrong, let me know in the comments and we can talk about it there.